What's up, Chad? So I stumbled upon a video of David Jaffe. He's in support of Sony's decision to end physical media, and he made some statements to which I have hard counters for. I mean, you would think that this guy would be for the consumers, seeing as he's an industry legend. He's a gaming veteran. He's been in the industry for so long. I mean, he created the God of War franchise, right? And you would think that this guy was in support of fans everywhere, but there's a lot of dick riding in this video I'm about to react to. So without further ado, let's just get into it.
The logic, his logic, completely crumbles. All right, let's start with this stat right here. Let's start with the stat that Sony shipped nearly 70 million physical games in fiscal 2025. Well, first of all, shipped does not mean shipped to gamers. It means shipped to retail stores, right? So we don't actually know how many of those 70 million discs made it into players' hands because Sony only has to report what they ship to stores, not what stores actually sell. When a publisher ships a million copies of, let's say, the phenomenal Ghost of Yote, great game, they count that as a win, as they should. That's a lot of copies. But if half of those games end up sitting on a shelf gathering dust, Best Buy doesn't just eat that loss. They box those games up and send them right back to Sony for a refund. So 70 million shipped does not mean 70 million players actually went out and bought a physical copy. But even if it did mean that, let's look at that math. And you guys know, if you watch this channel more than 10 minutes, I'm shit at math. So I've triple checked this. But here's the math. 70 million discs sounds massive, right? But if you look at that exact same fiscal year, which is Rhino was talking about, 2025, PlayStation actually sold 290 million, give or take, million full games. So if 70 million of those games were physical, that means 210 million of those full games, roughly 72%, were bought digitally. 72% were bought digitally. So when you look at the whole picture, physical is just a fraction of the total volume of games sold. And
I'm going to have to pause there, right? If your games suck, it doesn't matter if you sold it physically or digitally. He made a point here saying that PlayStation, sells their games in bulk. Places like Walmart, and then Walmart has to sell it to consumers. And if it stays on shelves for so long that people don't buy it, a place like the middleman like Walmart could just ship it back to PlayStation, and he considers that a loss. Now, to me, it doesn't matter, right? If your games suck, right, no one is going to buy it, regardless of if it's physical or digital. It doesn't matter. No one's going to buy it. It doesn't matter how much you spend on the video game. By the way, why do we need such expensive video games? Marvel Spider-Man 2 cost around $300 million. Why? Why do we need such expensive games? And mind you, that game, it lacked in a lot of ways. Story-wise, content-wise, it was lacking. Enough for me to feel the difference between it and the first game. The first game, I've played Marvel Spider-Man over 10 times. That's how much I keep going back to that game. Right? And then when Spider-Man 2 came out, I've only played it once. I tried going back to it, but I just can't. Because it isn't drawing me in. For Christ's sake, we have 2 playable characters. We have 2 Spider-Men. But they solely focused on one and left the other one out. You could just tell these things apart. There's no hiding it, alright? The games won't sell if your games are not that good. I don't understand how hard it is to comprehend this. It doesn't matter if it's digital or physical. If your game sucks, it sucks, alright? Let's go back to his second point.
$70 physical game disc of Call of Duty, and imagine it being sold at Target. Target comes in, they sell a copy, they take their cut. Depends on the negotiation, there's a percentage cut Target gets. The factories that print the discs and the trucks that ship those discs to the stores take a cut, whether it's from the back end or an upfront fee. And then Sony takes a fee for just letting the game be on PlayStation. Everything sold on PlayStation that runs, Sony gets a percentage, which in the case of a game is $10. The publisher, Activision, keeps what's left. So 30 to 35 to $40. Now, that's good. That's been a business model that's worked for a long time. But look what happens when you buy the exact same game, but you buy it digitally on the PlayStation Store. Okay? Target is gone. They get cut out. The people who drive the trucks and run the trucking companies and manufacture the disc and the manuals and write the manuals, all that's gone. That's cut out. Not that we ever have manuals anymore, but you know what I mean? The art and stuff. And now Sony gets to take 30% because it's on PSN, because it's on the digital store instantly, doubling their take from $10 to $21. The game's publisher, Activision, in this case, they keep the rest of the money. For every digital copy sold, instead of getting 35 to 40 bucks, they're making 50 bucks for every single digital copy sold of Call of Duty. How, if the audience is behind this and they're okay with it, and stats show they are, if you were running these companies, you would do the same. And if not, you'd probably be fired for not, upholding your fiduciary responsibility, because you're just a fucking moron if your job is to make money. So, I mean, you can see why third party.
So it's all about making money and printing money with these guys. How long do you think people can condone, this? It's sort of like an abusive relationship between consumers and, developers, these companies. How long do you think it's going to take if they keep, increasing the prices of these games? Take, for example, FC26. That game is around $150. That's even more expensive than GTA 6. And what on earth does FC26 offer? Ultimate Team. Is that it? A chance for you to spend money and maybe get players that you want. That's just, it's straight up gambling. But you see, people keep coming back every single year for this. But I don't think it's going to happen for a long time. At some point, the camel's back has to break. People are just going to be like, there's no point anymore buying these games, spending all this money. And for what exactly? For what? Why?
We sit here and we cry about publishers doing these things, ditching disk drives or pushing live service games. But there is a massive, almost willful disconnect between what the core gaming community demands and the cold, hard financial reality of what it costs to build games in general, let alone the mega expensive single-player games that a lot of you guys say you want. Hell, I want those games a lot of times. But it's the ultimate cognitive dissonance. Gamers expect every major first-party release to be this visually groundbreaking, 30-hour cinematic masterpiece, but then they riot the second a publisher makes a business move to actually fund that standard, which is becoming an impossible standard. Because look, let me say the number again to be obnoxious about it, and it's a conservative number, $300 million plus. And I'm not talking more than that is for GTA 6. I'm talking PlayStation single player. It's conservative. Come on now. A lot of gamers like to act like they're these uniquely targeted victims of corporate greed. But if you look outside games just for 5 seconds, this is the exact same playbook used and ultimately accepted across every major industry. Here's some examples, yeah? Adobe Photoshop Premiere. They killed physical disc and forced every creative who uses their services into a monthly subscription. People screamed and bitched. But now software as a service is the universal standard because most people were fine with it. Airlines, if you remember, it's been a while, but they used to include, if you remember, check bags in the price of your ticket. Then they unbundled it. They said, we're going to charge $35 for you to check a bag. They made billions, and now charging for carry-on is totally normal. Apple removed the headphone jack from the iPhone. You remember? And everybody mocked them. I'm not putting up with that until every single Android maker quietly did the same thing to sell you wireless earbuds. I know this because I just bought some. Finally, broke down, bought some. They're awesome. Look, corporations will always test the customer's boundaries to see what they can get away with in order to make more cash. If the market keeps telling them they're okay with it, if the market keeps buying it, like they've shown they will do with digital games, I'm sorry, but it's true. What it really...
You know what? It's true. I do agree with him on this point, right? The market is always going to test our boundaries. But do you know who else tests my boundaries?
My mom!
I'm just joking, guys. But in all honesty, do you know who else tested the boundaries of gamers? Xbox, when they released the Xbox One, when they limited game sharing. I know how much that really messed them over during that generation. It's going to be the same thing for the PlayStation 6. If PlayStation goes down this route of removing digital games, it's going to destroy their market, especially for me, because I know that at this point I don't think I'm going to buy a PlayStation 6 if it doesn't have a disc drive attached to it. I love my physical media, man. It's how I feel connected to the things I purchase. It's mine. I want to have that feeling of having something that I can call mine. It's just it feels different, all right? It hits different.
really comes down to is this simple phrase: anti-consumer is usually the temporary phase that exists between outrage and the new normal. And I don't see this being any different. I'm sorry to say it's true, but physical disc is going away. And not because an evil villain in a boardroom hates you and wants to take your toys away and wants to squash your nostalgia, but because $300 million plus games cannot survive without companies cutting out the middlemen to keep more of the cash. And because, yes, people are greedy. As greedy as you let them get away with being. But the majority of gamers have made it clear they're okay, they're all in.
Yes, it's definitely about taking away what you love. All right. Why do you think they are pushing so hard for a digital only, time where it says that everybody is going to be online? Everything you own, you don't, technically own it because it's online. It's easy to edit out things in video games. All right. It's easy to take away content. It's easy to ban you, from playing the game that you bought with your hard-earned money just because. It's definitely about taking away what you love. Yes, and it's also because they are fucking greedy. These people are greedy, and they want more. They'll always keep wanting more, and if we don't do anything about it, well, it's going to be bad for everybody. But yeah, I don't disagree with Baby Jaffe's take. It's terrible. But those are my thoughts on his video and Sony's decision to end physical media. If you like the video, please like. Thank you.